Welcome back, folks. We've just put a dot on games number 1 and number 2, continuing in our relegations here.
Dot.
Sure. This is phase 2 of relegation, so we've got the teams that have come out of the open bracket and the teams that have come out of the Challenger Cup. They're meeting here. And right now, we've got Leftovers versus Astro.
I really liked the intelligent play from both teams. I think Leftovers have been playing it smarter. Very good job at understanding their team composition, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and playing around it. Leftovers have, to me, shown that they have prepared, right? They are ready to play at an SPL level. Now, they still have another phase to go through, but as of right now, they look very good. Same with Torpedo on the other side. Now, Astro, I think they're almost there, right?
I agree.
It's going to be very hard for them to run the 3-0 back, but this hasn't been just a one-sided match like the last set was, where I think they have no hope. It's small, but I think Astro, if they think back on those past 2 games and try and understand exactly how they were beat, I think they're good enough to find a win.
I will say, at this point, I do think it's a tall order to see 3 wins in a row coming out from Astro, but I think we could at least see a game number 4. But let's see right away if we can get there. Without further ado, picks and bans, game number 3.
All right, so sides have now been switched. Astro electing to take first pick, but they actually ban away Robin. This is surprising to me because obviously Amaterasu and Robin are 2 top picks, but I'm really surprised that Astro is not kind of just doing a throwaway ban like maybe a Khepri and then seeing or allowing Leftovers to be the one to waste a ban on Robin. Amaterasu.
Right. So right away.
So like as first pick, right? Astro just banned away the 2 best picks in Smite right now. This is confusing to me.
Really? You think Amaterasu is one of the best picks in Smite?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
She is so good. Especially, like, she's not the best laner, right?
Okay.
Especially early, she can get out-pressured, but she is so good, right? Chiron, also probably up there.
Yep. So Astro opting for the Hunter pick. They want to show a little bit of love to their Hunter Wlfy. And on the right side, Team Leftovers switching this time around. Khepri will be the choice. So basically, Astro has just told us, hey, our solo laner doesn't really want to play
I think
Robin
Leftovers
or
are going to try and steal away what Astro did in that last game, and they're going to grab Neath in that 3rd spot, except they're going to play they're going to play that, maybe it was game 1, but they're going to play that aggressive lane, right? Because Chiron is very good. I love Chiron.
Yes.
But
Chiron
he
is
can be outpushed if you have 2 hard pushers on the other side, right?
Sure.
Sylvanas, Khepri, the 2 supports that can do that, and then Neath is the main hunter that can do that. Neath, Soul are the 2 main hunters, you know, in quotation marks with Soul, that can do that. And if you get those 2 against the Chiron can't really do anything.
Ymir also up there as far as clear is concerned.
That's
Why don't
true.
we see him?
It's a little bit more dangerous, though, with Ymir.
Yeah.
He has no escape.
Sure.
He also has to stand in the wave and then ice carpet. And there's like a pretty decent animation time that he can take a lot of poke, or teams could really look to try and kill him. And if they have Curse, whew,
oh, yeah.
you dead, Ymir.
Curse in a much makes that lane much different. And Astro, they're going to take Batz this time around. So Leftovers jungler, otherwise known as Fails, will not be able to have the Batz that we've seen him on time and time again. So game number 3, the switch up, and teams will literally just exchange Batz and Thor.
The question is, will Astro leave Neath up? I'm assuming they're gonna. I feel like they have to ban Neath, right? Soul's also not available this weekend, so like they don't have to worry about Soul. Just take away the Neath. Don't allow Leftovers to have that really hard push lane, especially considering they have a Thor that's going to put out a ton of pressure in the jungle as well.
Exactly. So Astro,
smart ban.
Yeah, Astro completely
very smart ban.
That they're going to have to deal with that. And Sobek going to be taken off the board by Leftovers. I don't want Sobek there for Chiron Sobek combinations.
I mean, that's actually a pretty deadly lane, right? Like that's a real deadly lane.
Sure, you can explain the Sobek to me, but explain the Afro to me.
That I'm assuming is a target ban. I don't really think it's worth banning, but I mean, Leftovers, they could go for a sustained-based comp.
Right.
I don't know. I'm assuming that's something that they've scrimmed the team before and they don't like. I don't know if it's worth the ban because I haven't seen Leftovers play.
That's definitely a team-specific ban coming out in tier. Definitely not team-specific. Everybody likes tier, so Leftovers.
I like
Nika
this. I like this Khumba more than just the Khumba pick in general. It's the fact that it's going to be very strong against tier Thor specifically, as well as the fact that Astro don't really have a lot of dots on their team, so they don't have to worry about breaking mezzes.
Right.
So you could really see Khumba, once that mezz is maxed, set up a lot for his team, and then just wait the full duration, and then Astro can just dive them.
Team Astro coming through hot with the double monkey comp. You know I like myself some double monk. Now is usually where the Chair 2 would provide some analysis.
Rom going to be picked up for leftover, so they're not going to combine a very hard push. Obviously, Neith was taken away, so they're not really they're not left with any hard push options that are going to be able to compete against the Khumbakarna.
Why do we see? Why is this the second time I'm seeing Rama today?
Rom is good if you can get him to late game, right?
That's
but
a
he's
big
like,
if.
for the first 15 to 20 minutes, there's just like 3 or 4 picks that just destroy him so much. And it's about getting the Rom to late game, right? They also have Badgah, who's going to be able to peel very well. But more importantly, right, they have this late game in the Hunter Rom and the mid Chronos. But Chronos applies a little bit more pressure early than a lot of typical late game carries.
Okay.
But they have jungler on Thor. And this guy has gone power pot, and he is going to be aggressive, right? He's not going to force too many things because the goal for him this game is to allow his Ram and Chronos to come online. But he's going to make sure he's not going to give anything up, right? He's just going to stand there. He may not dive you, but he's just going to stand there and say, "Just try and fight me.
Do it.
Just try and fight me." My goal is to get my carries to late game.
So Thor going to be playing bodyguard here in game number 3. Leftovers trying to secure their trip to phase 3, where they'll be taking on some of the members of the SPL in hopes of being SPL themselves. And Astro, well, they've got to take it one game at a time. They're down 2. They've got to win 3 in a row, but they've got to think of this as 3 one-game sets if they have any hopes of keeping themselves mentally in check.
So Astro actually has really good disengage. Obviously the Khumba, and especially when his team has no dots, going to be super useful. But Isis as well, she can't really disengage that well, but she has a lot of stun CC and obviously circle of protection that she's going to be able to drop in. It's going to be scary for leftovers to dive on top of that. And then Wlfy with the Chiron obviously can run away very well. Sun Wukong, literally his job in most team fights is to be a distraction, right? He's going to put out a lot of poke damage, not a lot of burst, but just like he's just annoying to deal with in lockdown.
Exactly. He's going to knock up your entire front line and possibly back line. He's going to slow everybody. Cherryo gets smoked by a long-range Spirit Ball. 25% of his HP just gone. And that's going to leave the door open for Astro to take out the left side Harpies, and no problem.
See, and look at this. Leftovers like, all right, we can't fight that, so let's go do and secure our free back cams.
Yeah, just taking back cams. Badgah.
Left lane, Wlfy and Zigox, they're going to be winning this lane early. Actually, Arkkyl jumping in, getting a decent amount of poke on Wlfy, and Wlfy actually going the Transcendence build, so he does have a lot of potions, but I mean, Arkkyl is just putting the pressure on him right now.
Yeah, and Arkkyl...
Oh, and he used his wave clear on poke and not on the minions, and now Leftovers are going to get full control of this lane, and they lost all their pressure.
Wow.
That was awkward.
How quickly things turn.
That's just like small mechanics. Like this happens a lot in duo and solo where there's just like very small things that make a massive difference. And now one of the most important things in duo lane, obviously it's your pressure, right? Your ability to clear wave, but it's also just having control because now leftovers are going to be able to push this wave in. And even though they don't really have the superior push with Rom, like they're just going to get free poke on the wave.
Wlfy, that time around, used his wave clear the right spot. Will that be enough to really offset the pressure that leftovers had?
The problem is Wlfy is just... They should have full control of this lane, and now actually a smart gank.
Look at the rotation coming out from jungle and mid. Sanjo shows up, gets the slow. Keep in mind, no level 5, so no ultimates. But Badgah, he's got no ult either. And first blood goes the way of Astro.
Smart rotation.
Two-man rotation.
So leftovers, actually what happens is they go into the right-hand jungle to split and share the farm with the Sun Wukong, but all the wards, they didn't have any ward coverage. They didn't actually know where Isis and Batz were.
Right.
Quickly rotate over because Astro doesn't have any lane pressure. And I don't know if that was planned, but that was pretty smart if it was planned.
Yeah, just waiting it out.
Ducky. It's fine.
I don't know if they planned that for minute 1. But I would love it if they did.
Should.
Right now, Cherryo's the one in trouble. Still, not level 5, no ultimate. The root's going to miss, but the smack won't. Sanjo, number 2 on the board for the team as he finds his first kill.
I like that they picked up Cherryo there, especially considering he doesn't have enough gold to finish off his Doom Warp. He's going to be forced to go into boots early, and that's going to delay, his power spike, and he'll be a little bit safer because of that, but actually, no, is he wait? Oh, he is saving. Ooh, that's surprising.
He wants to get that Doom Orb on as soon as possible.
Nice stun.
Level 5 over there for
Teleport?
Batz. This should be a kill on a Nika. Jump underneath the tower. Ducky puts 3 on the board, and Astro definitely much different story this game. They've got their backs against the wall, and they want to take this to game 4 at least. So Ducky and the jungler combined for a kill.
700 gold lead. I love this, right? Because leftovers, they draft Thor so they could keep up the pressure because they know they don't really have it in any lane. So you want that high... you want that aggressive jungler, but so far 3 pickoffs, and that's what they've been. They've been players picked off. It hasn't been like a, we know you're trying to fight, right? Let's fight. It's been a, I got caught out of position by smart rotations from Astro.
Got you. It's just been got you over and over and over again from Team Astro. And Rapio still with that blue pot online. Him and the support will take out these mid harpies. And leftovers don't really want to show their face. They toss a hammer, but
the jungler steal that? I think jungler stole those.
Yes, he did. You can take
oh, man.
Yeah, you can take
That's
a look
rough.
at the graph, and it shows the little uptick.
I think Astro should continue to be aggressive and look for pickoffs, right? You don't need to necessarily overcommit and dive, but just don't be scared, right? Have your Khumba sit in front of there, right? And if he gets a little bit aggressive, if the Thor gets out of position, right, or uses hammer, you knock him up, right? You have Isis Spirit Ball, and you also have Sanjo waiting around the corner there.
A lot of options, but in general, just took the easy way. Ping's coming out on the left-hand side of the map. A lot of vision put there by leftovers. You can see the wards both by mid lane and just underneath the Gold Fury. So no surprises will be had for leftovers dual lane this time around. Once was enough.
This Wukong getting bullied pretty early. 300 gold down. Or excuse me, 300 gold up. Excuse me, he got a kill.
Yeah.
But he still doesn't have the spear clear. And you can see Nika pressuring him.
Yeah,
I just ignore everything I just said. I just, for some reason, I thought Wukong had died and not the tier.
It happens. It happens. Son Wukong over here, and you know, you were right. His clear is definitely different than Tier's.
He doesn't win this lane, right? And even though he's up 300 gold, he's still getting out pressured. Nika doesn't have any mana though. But the problem is Nika does have to worry about Sanjo and his ganks, and it looks like a Gold Fury trying to be snuck here. No.
At least showing up, but as I said,
I think they're looking to pick off a player. I love this from Astro. Continue looking for players to pick off. I think leftovers are going to smell it out, though.
Yeah, Astro has been walking over these wards almost intentionally.
Yeah, so something important, too, right? Look at this ward under Gold Fury. It's a normal ward, but there's 2 sentries on the left-hand side, one on the left-hand side and one on gold that are both missing it, right? That's very intelligent ward placement by leftovers. They know that they don't have sentries to gain control of the Gold Fury, right? Let me place a 50 gold ward in this spot where no one ever really sentries, that I just know the rotation. I may not know where they are exactly, blink in, but jungler, perfectly timed ultimate.
Yeah, just going to find himself up in the sky. Could re-engage if he feels fit, and he does. Very low to his jungle and the mid lane on the side of Astro. And leftovers trying to make things happen as Badgah's got the ultimate on himself. Everybody ignoring the big bug, and Sanjo unable to fall, but Badgah will, thanks to Wlfy and his long-range Chiron shots. Over the top, here comes Nika. Fearless power cleave. Ducky underneath the tower finds himself quickly into the ultimate, and this should be the reset. Team leftovers, they lose their mid laner and their support. Astro,
2 players picked off, and the ice is so close to death, but that's the problem I talked about. Astro has such a strong disengage, right? The second the Thor comes down, I didn't think he wanted to fight. He should have been trying to farm, but instead elects to fight, blink it, or excuse me, teleport in by Nika, gonna get sunned out. Tier 1 tower is going to get saved, but the second jungler comes crashing down, right? Ice Assault, Fear No Evil's there, Zigox can mez. There's so many tools for Astro to keep the Isis alive. And then Badgah, you know, he went in with jungler, he gets picked off, and then slowly Cherryo stayed a little bit too long as well, and he falls.
Unfortunately for Team Leftovers, seems to be a very different story as compared to game number 1 and game number 2. It's Astro leading 5 kills to 0. And they're up 1,000 gold as well. Seems like that lead should be higher, though.
I think it should be higher, and that's because Astro are still a little bit scared to try and aggress with their lead, which against a Khepri can be like it's this fine line. You got to be careful, right? Because honestly, I think leftovers have the stronger soul lane. The soul lane is going to make more of an impact, especially early, right? Unless, you know, Ducky could find a power spike item and getting breastplate online first, which he should because of his slight gold lead that he got, or his gold lead that he has. But the tier's just going to be doing more, right? So if you're taking these fights and the soul laners are involved, that's bad for Astro, right? They want to take these 3v3s or 3v2s in the dual lane, focus on them, don't allow Badgah to fight, right? And that's the thing, right? When you're playing against the Khepri, the best thing you can do is try and kill the Khepri, right? Because if you're going on the Ram or the Thor or anyone else, Badgah's just gonna back up, pop his ult, reposition himself. If you go on the Khepri, he only revives in place, and you can lock him down once again. And especially early, considering he has no items, he has no strong defensive items. He's gone into cooldown boots. Like, he's an easy target to pick off.
And right now, Gold Fury gonna be the target for Team Astro. Good teleport. It's going to bring a bunch of blue players over here to the left side. And again, as you said, they're just looking for these picks. Chronos up in the air. He's going to land directly into Fear No Evil. No time to rewind. We're not very kind, says Ducky. 6 kill on the board for Team Astro. And Leftovers only have 4. Still, with the numbers advantage, Astro does not want to push onto the Gold Fury, and I like that call.
Rapio a little bit split from his team. Ducky just going to try and throw a poke. And Astro, they have that Isis ultimate, so they could pull Gold Fury, but it's not free, especially with Tier in the area. Spirit Ball over the wall. Badgah going to take poke, but Ducky, Nika, he's always just waiting here in the wings, right? He's like, some person step out of line. It's going to be Zigox. He's forced back, and now Rom takes to this guy, trying to snipe him out.
Wlfy's dealing some snipes in and of himself, and Badgah very low.
Pick off Khepri. He can't reposition if he revives himself.
And Team Astro seem to have figured that out. They repeatedly find themselves on Khepri, and
this is dangerous.
Here's the situation early on in the game.
This is real dangerous. Cherryo's come back. Spirit Ball, Jungler, silence out. 3-man silence. Wing Gust over the wall, and Rapio is able to snipe him out.
2 players left for Leftovers. One going right, one going north, and Nika gonna get toasted by 4, and all by himself. Sanjo takes the one-on-one, puts a pin in Arkkyl.
11-0. Astro have thought about the game. They recognize what their strengths and weaknesses are, and this time it was, let's pick off the players, right? We have the spirit early game comp, and that's what they've done, right? I did want them to be a little bit more aggressive, but it's fine to be wary sometimes, and they've still got a lead.
It's like they've stopped just pressing buttons and started thinking.
Yeah, hey. That's my Season 3 tagline, man. Stop pressing buttons, start thinking.
Well, with that kill and that Gold Fury, Team Astro find themselves significantly in the lead at just the 10-minute mark. 11, let me say that one more time. 11 kills, 10 minutes on the clock. And Team Astro find themselves almost 4,000 gold in the lead.
Very strong lead right now.
Crazy
can we go back to items? Yeah, so Cherryo messed up here, right? Because when he died early, I thought he was immediately going to go into boots, because when you lose that early pressure, especially when you can't back and full buy do more, but it's so risky, because now the other players are stronger, it's harder to fight, and you're going to be an easy pickoff. He's died 4 times, still does not have boots completed. That's the most important thing. He doesn't have the movement speed to get away. Movement speed is one of the most important stats in Smite. It's okay to go do more, I think, right? It's risky, but if you die early and you don't go boots, you better position yourself properly. You can't die 4 times.
I mean, there are some, you know, in Cherryo's defense, there are some mages that can get away with not building boots first. And I think Chronos is one of them with Accelerate.
4 deaths.
Sure, yeah, 4 deaths, definitely. And a lot of those deaths, honestly, have come from burst damage. Him dying before he could even bring out the ultimate.
But that's the point, right? Astro are thinking. They're not just pressing buttons.
Right.
This Chronos, right, he has 1 set of CC immunity with his Purification. That's on a 160-second cooldown, right? And he's not level 12, so he doesn't have Sanctuary or another defensive, right? So we're just going to pick him off every single time, and that's what's happened.
And Astro's looking for Chronos or Khepri every single time before the Chronos, and Nika's going to jump on into destruction.
Jungler's in the sky. Trying to find, lands on Rapio, spin to win, and it's actually Arkkyl who snipes him out. Nice wall, Wlfy gonna be poked out. Jungler teleports to his hammer, but Badgah getting focused out, and this is such a nice defense from the Leftovers.
Yeah, Leftovers are able to find one, taking out Rapio. They give up 0, and this time Nika puts himself in harm's way. That preserves his life thanks to the Khepri ult, and it's good enough to save a tier 1 tower on the side of the red team.
You won't do it, Sanjo. He actually shouldn't. What if he did it? What if he teleported in with that monkey? And Astro recognizing that 4-on-5, they can't really dive this tower, so they might as well go farm all the jungle on the map in the lanes that they have.
Yeah, everything's up, and Astro want to make use of that. We mentioned before how their lead wasn't maybe as big as it should have been with this amount of kills on their side, so Astro looking for the farm a little bit more.
This is a little bit dangerous for them, right? They have a lead, but it's not that much. And once again, like, they need to be careful because Jungler right now is doing a lot of damage to their Isis. So they need to have one player dedicated to peeling for him. And honestly, what it should be is it should be the Khumbakarna, right? Yeah, Zigox's job should be, I'm protecting Isis, right? I use my ultimate aggressively, maybe, right? And after that, I just back off, and I'm just here to peel for the Isis when Jungler dives in, because Jungler is diving in on him every single time. And what we've seen from these Isis players so far is they've built a little bit tanky when they know they're going to get dove, but Rapio electing to go for the damage, so they need someone to protect him and keep him alive.
Yeah, it's not quite the Warlock Sash and the tank boots that we saw in game
That was
number 1.
ridiculous. I've never seen that. Not in competitive play, at least.
You know, and that to me is a build that I would have loved to see in Season 1 or Season 2.
Yo, Season 0.
Yeah,
Omni tank
exactly.
boots, you don't mess with them.
Rapio. Ooh, Rapio taking the double Tapio, going to be found down to about 50%.
And he's still
Khepri
pushed
off
up.
the mark.
That was a little bit dangerous here, but oh, look at this. A blinking by
Fearless
Nika.
power cleave!
What is it? What? Zigox ran away from him.
Nowhere to go.
He ran away from the ISIS. You can actually mez in the middle of the Fearless chain, but he ran away from the ISIS. He's like, nah, man, good luck. He had his ult as well.
Well, listen, he knew that Rapio had broken the law.
No, that's true. He's like, hey, man, that's all on you.
That's you, man. That's you. Realistically, though, I think that was the situation. I mean, Khumba could have gone and mezzed and stopped out the Fearless, but
I think
that ISIS was toasted no matter what, I think.
No, probably. I think what he was doing is he was trying to zone Badgah out, and he didn't think that Nika had that much damage. That's my assumption.
Nika has that much damage.
He didn't realize that, you know, the tier with only boots was going to half-life the ISIS.
I mean, like, ISIS was taken down about 40% HP thanks to the
double tap. Yep.
The double Tapio on Rapio.
That was pretty good. I like that one.
And so, with that amount of damage done, Nika was able to come out of the side and just put a swoosh on it. So, Team Astro find themselves with their first 2 deaths of the exchange here in game number 3. What could be the deciding factor if leftovers dig themselves out of the 3,000 gold hole that they find themselves in. But Astro, they've been playing absolutely lights out. And we mentioned that game number 1 and 2.
So much better this game. But like I said, they need to recognize that ISIS is getting dove by jungler every single fight. What I'm going to wonder about too, actually, a blinket by Zigox misses the mez, just going to find the root, but no one else to follow up right now.
Ultimate not even going to be thought about as Zigox finds himself very deep with about half a paddle. He uses that to find himself safely.
I like this.
Under the gold skier.
I like this from Astro, but they need to be careful.
Now, we've seen Astro do this 20 times. They're ready for a fight.
They're just trying to bait.
They're looking for the players more than they're looking for the objective at this point. Zigox and Ducky here.
Zigox actually getting poked out a lot.
Oh, but there's the ultimate, and this could be a dead Khepri. Everybody on top of the hug bug.
They're all grouped, though.
They spread for the Thor ultimate. Fantastic play. And Thor comes right on down, only able to find a single person. And it's a tanky Sun Wukong. Sanjo not as tanky. That's the other monk. He falls down while Ducky does the damage and takes out the jungler. Cherryo finds a kill for himself for the first time this game. And Wlfy combines onto a kill thanks to Badgah. Here comes the jump in from Ducky. Zigox is going to survive. Tier's not going to be able to make it. And with the Khumbakarna.
Nice purification from Wlfy.
Up. Not quite. I thought Zigox was going to survive. Nobody was near him.
That was close, but a 3 for 2 in favor of leftovers. And honestly, Ducky and Wlfy very low. We could see leftovers go for this, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Both players from Astro are going to take a trip back to the base. Neither of them have teleport up. Actually, excuse me, Ducky does have teleport up.
And he does teleport from behind.
This is not free.
Gold Fury's down 25% HP. Arkkyl being aggressed on by the solo laner. Going to get stunned out is Ducky. Still looking for more, but he's accomplished what he came for. Gold Fury has been leashed. And now it's his job to get out of here safely. The slow, the smack, and the retreat. Ducky stops leftovers from taking the Gold Fury all by himself.
Good play from him, making sure that leftovers don't find a way back into this match because the lead has been lower, 2800. Astro will try and pick it up as a couple members of leftover back. Badgah's going to smell it out. Jungler's here as well. He takes to the sky. This Gold Fury isn't free. No Ice Assault to secure.
2 stun out of the Thor. Zigox is going to be off the mark with the mez. And a good stun should put Jungler in a good spot, beezing away the Fear No Evil. Khepri's going to save the day as Jungler takes out, but Cherryo and Nika take out 2. Ducky answers back by taking out Thor. Up in the ultimate is Ducky. It's a 4-on-1 as Jungler sits out, but Team Astro not feeling good. It's 3-on-4, and leftovers still pushing the gas. Unable to find Ducky, they're just going to give chase onto the support and the Hunter, but that root should be strong enough to create enough distance. And now leftovers will look at the Gold Fury for the 3rd time in 2 minutes.
4 members strong. Ducky proxying the wave, trying to get that tier 1, but Badgah's actually pulled off to try and defend it. This is awkward for him.
Half HP.
It's close. Wlfy, Zigox trying to get in, but a good zone from Cherryo going to keep him at bay, and Wlfy forced to ult there. Cherryo can't get it off. Gold Fury is secured by Team Leftovers, though. They'll take that trade any day of the week.
Yeah, you want to trade 1 for a Gold Fury, go right ahead. Even if it's going to cut Cherryo's Doom Orb stacks in half, or the way Cherryo has been dying this game, they can't be that high up anyway.
This is bad. Rapio went blink on ISIS.
Yep.
And he blinked in and died to Nika.
Blink Fearless going to be off the mark on the left-hand side as Nika tries to make a play. Comes in, misses the Fearless, gets taunted by Chiron, and then walks away.
I'm really surprised that Rapio went blink, especially considering how hard he's getting dove from jungler every fight. And jungler is going for the build to dive him. And not only has he gone Jotuns, but he hasn't gone to the breastplate like a lot of junglers go. He's going straight into, I believe, the Brawler's Beat Stick.
I'm sorry.
What
I
happened?
acted so nonchalant when you said Isis bought the blink. Because seeing Isis with combat blink in Season 2 was pretty okay. That was normal. That was a frequent occurrence. Blink is not usable in combat. So now I am very perplexed about this choice.
Like,
I don't
put it this way, I can, you know what? You could buy any relic on any god in the game. But you better have a plan for it.
Exactly.
You better be playing with it for a reason.
You're
Even if
looking
it's a
for
low
those-
chance of success, right? You need to have a reason. I don't see Rapio's reason because what he did was he blinked into the middle of a team fight as a mage with no protection items, right? He doesn't have the warlocks. He doesn't have the tank boots.
Yeah.
He just blinked into the fight. And Nika's like, oh, thank you for killing yourself. We'll win this fight. We were down 4K. Thank you for throwing it.
I just don't see what Rapio can do with a blink. A lot of times when you see blink on characters, it's because they have a melee. They have a melee ability that deals a lot of damage or otherwise controls the situation. I.e., Geb, Sylvanas, even Khumbakarna, right? The blink Fearless. Isis doesn't have anything that benefits from being up in melee. In fact, Kevin, she has abilities that benefit from being far away.
I mean,
Spirit Ball does more damage if you don't blink.
I mean, I've seen Sayo, you know, back in Season 1 or 2, make some hot plays with Combat Blink Isis, like just like sending a Spirit Ball and then like blinking, and it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, sure.
This
You
isn't
get into
Combat
trouble,
Blink
you
anymore.
turn around, you combat blink, but there's no combat part on this.
Blink
and right
in.
now, leftovers are in combat up in the air as Thor.
Sanjo, jungler, such good reaction
Safe.
times. Ultimates immediately as Fear No Evil comes out. But Astro, they're going to pop Sprint, and they're on full aggressive mode, looking for Badgah, trying to zone him out. There's his revive, but they don't actually have enough damage to lock him down, it seems. Curse goes activated, and it's going to be Rapio to find 2.
That's the big difference between having the Fear No Evil available for when the Khumbakarna target comes out of the sky and not having it. Still able to find the kill is Team Astro. Big stun, big damage. The Sanctuary is going to save the life of Nika for a moment, but Ducky over the top gets the hit. No Sanctuary, actually just that tanky, and 18 kills on the board for Team Astro.
And jungler has so much damage, and once again, you got 3 players diving their back line. Someone has to protect Rapio.
Yeah.
Someone, because he is dying when he shouldn't have. And a lot of it's not his fault, too. A lot of it's the fact that the Khumbakarna is just saying, I'm going to dive their back line, right? I don't even care if it's the Khumba or if it's the Hunbats. Someone has to protect him.
And you know what? This is so we saw the Hunbats last game, and you illustrated a fantastic point, Adanas, that wound up being very true. Anytime the mid-mage was going to be dived on, there was going to be a Fear No Evil right at the feet, and that would peel for the mage. Unfortunately for Astro, or they're in the lead. Unfortunately for Rapio, all by himself, those Fear No Evils on the side of Astro are being used aggressively. Zigox goes in, tosses somebody up, and when they land, they're feared.
Which was fine in the smaller engagements, right? You can have multiple players being aggressive. The Isis doesn't have to worry too much. She has a couple abilities to stop it, but the problem is now it's a 5v5 fight, right? And someone, man, protect your mid-mage. Don't let him just get dove in the back line. It's just, this has been something for 2 years that players that aren't at the high end just don't seem to understand, right? Yes, Khumbakarna is a great aggressor that can pick players off. But so is Wukong, so is Hunbats, right? You need to dedicate someone to protecting your back line. Otherwise, you're giving the opponents free kills that they don't need, right? All it requires is jungler comes down, 1 mez. All right. My Isis is alive. She can reset. She's going to be impactful. Instead, repeatedly getting picked off, and it's not the Isis's fault, outside of the time she blinked into the middle of a tier. But this is not Rapio's fault, and it's not necessarily Zigox's fault either, right? As a team, they don't have someone trying to protect their carries.
In addition to lacking that protection, Kevin, they also don't seem to have the vision. Or at least leftovers don't, rather. Vision under the Fire Giant just swapped over to Astro, and some of the deeper wards leftovers have just deteriorated. There's the 1-2 combination out of the Fear No Evil and the Khumbakarna, and that is a dead Badgah. Rapio finds himself on the good side of the conversation for the first time all evening.
I love that pick. They burned 3 ultimates into it, but I mean, killing off Badgah, not allowing them to use his ult, super important. And now
Look at
Astro could slowly take the lead here.
Jungler just hiding in the jungle, not looking for anything. Conscious decision by Team Leftovers to relinquish this tier 1 tower to Team Astro. Only 500 gold, so it's going to help out Astro, but not too much. So Leftover is very conscious of what they're giving up. This tier 2, on the other hand, 1,500.
Nice poke on a Cherryo. Sprint activated. Arkkyl immediately in his ult trying to pick him off. Cherryo does get the rewind. And actually, Rom takes to the sky, trying to snipe off some damage. Jungler going to reset as well, and it looks like both teams on a disengage.
Yeah, not a great placement from Thor, but good enough to allow his team to provide the defense
He just,
they need.
what Jungler did is he took up to the sky because Astro were being aggressors. But then they recognized that they were resetting the fight. And so he's not going to just dive the enemy team, right?
Exactly.
He doesn't want to force a fight. He wants to make sure that that Badgah who got picked off can spawn and come back into the fight. Otherwise, they're taking an awkward number fight. There's no need for
that. It's always about the goal of your individual situation right there. And Team Leftovers, as long as they're fighting underneath that tower, have a 5-on-5 because Khepri's gone. So they have less players than the enemy team. The tower provides the 5th player, and Jungler, as I said, the goal of that exchange was not to win a fight. The goal was to chase the enemy off of the tier 2, and successfully done. Team Leftovers wind up on the good side of that exchange.
Astro, though, still holding momentum right now. Cherryo, only level 16, not online. Jungler's been doing a good job, has max CDR now, and once again, building into another penetration on him. He wants to kill Rapio. If he could get any protection, I think Astro just win this game.
We've seen this episode before, Kevin. Astro starting the fire
This
giant
is a lot of poke Astro's taken, and they're all split up. They don't know what to do. Zigox is almost dead.
That's the big difference between this side versus the Gold Fury. Jungler's going to land on nobody, but Zigox already down for the count. Cherryo credited with that one and still pushing go. Wlfy gets hit by a time rift, and Ducky already up in the ultimate, and that's going to give Team Leftovers the positioning and the aggression. Bird,
Ducky,
send out to the left side, and Leftovers are going to stay here near the Fire Giant.
So I like the play for Fire Giant. I like trying to bait, Leftovers into an awkward spot. But the problem, actually, it looks like Sanjo wants to fight, misses the monkey overhead smash. Arkkyl doing a lot of damage, but I mean, just no focus from the team. It looks like Astro, they wanted to force the fight, but a good job from Leftovers recognizing it and disengaging properly. I like the Fire Giant, though. Let me go back to that. I like the Fire Giant by Astro, but the problem is there's two things, right? One, we're committing to the Fire Giant. Yeah. Two, we're baiting for a kill, and they didn't know what they wanted to do. Or multiple players were on different mindsets.
Exactly, and we saw them multiple times, as I said, when we were watching them. Okay, we've seen this on the Gold Fury side. They bait this, and then they take the fight. Well, the biggest difference between the Fire Giant and the Gold Fury is how much damage the Fire Giant deals to its aggressors. And we saw, as you said, Zigox was taken out more by the Fire Giant than the enemy team.
Zigox was trying to force the fight and tank Fire Giant at the same time.
Yeah.
And honestly, a couple players of Astro stood in the lava pools for a couple seconds, took about 20 to 30% of their life. And by that time, Leftovers, they knew that all they wanted to do was fight. They had no intention of going for the Fire Giant. And Astro, they were poked out, unfortunately. Zigox died at the start of the engagement. And there goes a lot of your team fight disruption that you need.
To me, I mean, that's the classic looking at the fridge. You stand at the fridge with the door wide open. You got to pick or leave, right? Either pick what you want or you get your hand out of the cookie jar. And right there, Asher was stuck with their hand in the cookie jar.
Zigox finds a pick, but they can't dive Badgah as much as they used to. They still think this is minute 5.
Yeah, and the big difference again, that's what happens when they don't have the Fear No Evil combined with that Khumbakarna ult. Thor's going to come crashing down on top of a bunch of players on the backside after Rapio already takes out Cherryo. Very low is Nika, but he'll be fine as he finds himself onto the tower. Sanjo takes out his opposition, and all 5 members of Team Astro are standing and smiling while Jungler and Cherryo get a chance to tab out.
See, that was a smart play on Blink, right? When they're not being aggressed on, right, you can make some pretty good plays. The big thing about Rapio is that it was surprise burst that Cherryo and Jungler weren't aware of or didn't expect.
Sure.
So he finds a nice pickoff. He was in a little bit awkward position, but Leftovers could have forced anything. And speaking of forcing stuff, Sprint popped. Sorry, Zigox trying to find Badgah. Nika's here as well,
though. And there's the wing gust damage. That's pretty...
Ducky's in a bad spot. Badgah on 1 hit. It's going to be Sanjo to pick him up. Arkkyl firing shots through the team fight, but it doesn't matter. Can't do enough here. And now it's just Nika and Arkkyl on a 2v4.
Fearless into the power cleave combo. Stand switch to get himself out of there. And Arkkyl going to be taken out by the Sanjo.
This has been an awkward fight, but look at this. Rapio being chased out. Cherryo back alive. Oh, but Cherryo misses hit, and Rapio walks straight into the time rift.
Jungler
time stop.
Still dealing damage, and Sanjo very low. Nika comes out.
Actually walked into the time stop.
So, what have we learned here today?
You can juke abilities, especially slow-moving abilities.
No!
Oh.
They stayed for 27 years, Kevin.
Yeah.
Astro was in the enemy jungle.
This is a very sloppy, like, this game is very sloppy, right?
Well,
the first 2 games I've really enjoyed from both teams, right? Playing these intelligent game styles. I think Leftovers just played it a little bit better, but so far this has been very sloppy from Astro. They finally have a lead, right? The first 2 games they were basically behind both games. This game they have a lead, but they don't seem to understand how to do it. And we've actually seen this a lot in Season 3. I've seen a couple scrims as well, and there's a lot of overstaying.
Exactly. I mean, if at any point in time you are in a fight that
you gotta
lasts
recognize that
long
timers.
enough for the enemy to respawn, that's a problem. But hold the phone. Leftovers with that last exchange into the Gold Fury, tie the game. So just under 30 minutes in here, folks. Team Astro decimating Leftovers in always, as far as the kills are concerned, 23-13. But Leftovers playing intelligently and playing for the objective wind up tying things up in our 28th minute of play. Great comeback from Leftovers, and one more time, if you're just joining us, Leftovers, if they win this game, Kevin, they go on to phase 3, and Astro gets left in the dust.
After dying in that last engagement, I think Rapio just finished breastplate. Maybe had it done before, but I like this pickup. Going to give him CDR as well as make him a lot tankier, because it seems like Nika and Jungler are just trying to dive him on cooldown.
Right.
I love this. He still needs someone to peel for him. Zigox typically using his ultimate to be aggressive.
Yeah, Zigox time and time again. That is the game plan of Team Astro. I mean, that is the entire playbook.
I liked this game plan for the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? Pick off Badgah, but now Badgah's pretty damn tanky, right?
Exactly.
And immediately he's using this ult, which actually does a lot of damage to a squishy target, and he's sending up a very tanky target who's coming back down, still has ultimate, and they're burning all these ults on him, still not picking him up guaranteed.
Well, I definitely agree with you, and I'm not going to disagree with you on the fact that our tanks are very are a lot less tanky early on.
He missed his ult, but they're continuing to try and pick off Badgah here.
A little bit of
he has cooldown, so it's smart here for Astro to reset and wait for Khumba's ult to come back off cooldown.
When Astro successfully execute their Khumbakarna ultimate, it's always paired with the Fear No Evil.
And it hasn't been recently.
Exactly.
That's true.
And that does two things. One, I definitely agree that the tank is a lot less tanky earlier on, especially before 7 stacks on an Urchin is finished.
Sanjo,
right now,
look at
Leftover is going to be the aggressors. Looking for the pluck is Khepri. 1v1 is Tyr and the Isis on the backside. We'll take a look at the big fight here. Forced in the ultimate is Wlfy, and he'll be able to immune the ultimate from Jungler. Sanjo, not so lucky though. Nika finds himself on the right side, and Nika gets Wlfy by himself as Ducky. He'll find safety underneath the tower, but Zigox, not so lucky. 3 players chasing, 3 players killing. In that passive though, can they get it?
That's got to be for the Mez.
There it is.
Arkkyl got it, but very smart play from Leftovers. They recognize that Khumba's ult is down. Now we have a power play, right? They don't have this ultimate that typically is used as their engaged ult. And then, more importantly, is that Astro was very committed to try and do that blue buff, and the second Nika goes onto Isis, right, the team kind of, Astro, they got lost in comms, it appears, right? Everyone started running every which way, they didn't know what they were doing, and Leftovers were still grouped. They were kind of like in this middle position at blue buff, and they saw all the carries go 2 separate ways. So as a team, they could decide who to go for, who to focus, who to pick off, right? We have like, okay, Arkkyl can win this 1v1, right? Nika can zone Rapio the whole time. We can just kind of ignore and wall off Zigox, he can't really do anything, and then we kill Sanjo.
Yeah, and because of their ability to really dictate which characters to go for, they were able to win the fight. And now, looking for the Fire Giant, 25% HP on the target, but Ducky's by himself. Here comes Rapio, drops the ultimate. Leftovers still able to secure the Fire Giant. And now Rapio looks like a very good holiday burn. Badgah with credit on that one, thanks to the dot. And now Thor, nowhere to go, finds himself near the mid lane.
Sanjo, though,
teleport out to Sanjo.
Fear No Evil, trying to turn it, can't hit the auto attack now on full retreat. Sanjo probably going to chase him for a little bit, misses the double tap, actually teleports to him, and Sanjo jumps in place while not on the mark. There's the Khepri ult, Jungler. He's going to die to the tower, but that's fine because he'll be revived.
That's intentional and beautifully played as Leftovers take out a tier 2, chase away Team Astro, and what was previously Astro's game. I mean, let me look at the graphs real quick. For 30 minutes, for a half hour, Kevin, this was Astro's game. At one point, they were leading 12 kills to none.
This is 11, I think.
and 12. It was ridiculous.
Blink in, though, in the mid lane here, and look at this. Nika just destroying Zigox out of position. Actually tries to force the fight while 2 of his carries were still dead.
Leftovers just turning things around, able to switch that quickly. That quickly, the game has turned around. One exchange, and Leftovers able to take out a Fire Giant, and then the entirety of right lane. The entirety of mid lane.
I mean, it's the time, right? Ram, Chronos, they've come online. They have their items, both of them only missing 1. They're doing the damage they need to.
Wow,
topping the charts, both of them.
The player damage at a Ram.
Oh,
really,
and look at that. Okay, let's go back to Golden Hand. I think I saw 3K on 2 players. Oh, my word. Actually, most players with 3K. That's some big items going to be finished here in a second. Ram has 3,000 gold to finish off his build. And that's going to be a beat stick as well.
I love the builds on these hunters. I am for the first time, I think, in these past couple of weekends, extremely happy on the hunter builds. We're in a season, we're in a world, Kevin, where hunter builds are not unique to the role. Instead, they're unique to the god. Chiron is an ability-based hunter. So give me the transcendence, baby. I even want to see. I know that's not going to be. I want that to be a Jotuns, and I want it to come much earlier. Ram, on the other hand, basic attack speed, and shins all day. Don't even need the extra damage from a Transcendence. Love these builds from these 2 hunters.
Left-hand side, though, Fire Giant into Leftover is going to start pushing down these towers. Both Phoenixes, or the Phoenix in the mid and the right-hand side, they're done. And Astro, they're going to have to try and mount a defense. The first time they really haven't been the aggressors in a 5v5 fight, right? Leftovers have been the aggressors when they're a man up, but not when it's dead even. He's trying, but look at this.
Is Sanjo going to find the Fear No Evil?
But look at the ward, right? He's right on a ward. He's going to counter it out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But now Leftovers know he's there, and they're not going to force anything.
Oh, looks like they want to. Leftovers.
They reward, I think.
Yeah.
They're not going to allow Sanjo to just creep up and get a big Fear No Evil behind them.
Yeah, because
he does have Blink.
That's the game plan wrecker. Is Fear No Evil.
And look at this, just Leftovers, they're waiting for the Fireminge to push in on the 2 sides, which force Astro to kind of split themselves. Blinking by Zigox, he's being aggressive, but he's the only one there right now.
Thor's in the sky as
well. Cherryo done!
Rapio gets credit for the first kill of the engagement. With Cherryo gone, can Team Leftovers, do they have the damage is really the question. The right Phoenixes respawned and fight's still heading on.
Love that play, right? Finally, Zigox doesn't focus Badgah. Sends Cherryo to the sky. We see the blink it by Rapio. That is intelligent play of your relics, right? Rapio stays back, and it's just that instant burst damage coming from those 2 ultimates, right? Spirit Ball hits, the Circle Protection, and the Khumbakarna. Cherryo, when he lands, does not even have time to press Sanctuary. Literally can't react in time to do it.
Nowhere to go.
That was a good play by Astro.
Oh, it was a great play. Good might be the understatement.
I think they're going to recognize that they need to stop ulting Badgah now with Zigox ult. I think they figured it out.
Well, Arkkyl is going to pick up Gold Fury, so that'll continue Leftovers' 5-digit gold lead over Team Astro. How quickly things get out of control.
This isn't the most important thing, though, as both teams are starting to complete their builds. You can see Rapio going for, I believe, not Book of Thoth, probably going for Soul Reaver. He has Book of Thoth anyway, already stacked up. So going to have a lot of burst damage on those Isis Spirit Balls.
Ooh, and the Bancroft Talisman.
A little bit of sustain, and also considering he's getting dived, or he hasn't been recently, or earlier getting dove, a lot by Thor, right? And Thor, he has Bulwark, but still, Rapio's going to be putting out a lot of damage onto him, so he needs to be a little bit more careful.
Exactly, and the Bancroft in place of the Doom Orb is just, it's a dependable 100 damage that can be higher if you get in trouble. But in general, it's 100 damage. That's relatively inexpensive. So
Fire Giant going to be spawning here shortly. Leftovers already in position. Nika, he's on full zone duty. Probably going to look to try and pick off as many players as he can. And Leftovers, they're going to be starting this. Phoenixes have started to spawn here. Astro, they're not going to give this up for free, though.
Fire Giant down to about 50% HP.
Zigox
is going to get fearless and power cleaved into a wall. There's a blink forward from Sanjo. Ultimate is strong. The damage from the Hunter from the long side. Leftovers still going to be the one to claim the Fire Giant. L raining down from Ram, but is it enough? Sanjo has all of the HP in the world, and he's push and go. Leftovers, they have to retreat.
Badgah gonna get rooted out, and it's actually gonna be a monkey teleport. Jungler somehow picks up Rapio on the side. He's been left alone for the past minute, and now Jungler finds himself a double tap and a double kill, and now it's Cherryo to lock down Sanjo. 5 alive for Leftovers. 1 left alive for Astro, and pretty soon it's going to be 0 as Wlfy cornered in the wall. Deicide for Leftovers, 24 to 24 in kills.
50. Everyone's dead on the side of Team Astro. Leftovers going to walk down to the middle lane, and the writing was on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. Astro pull the ripcord. They surrender this one, and that's going to be the last one as Leftovers find themselves on the top side of a 3-0 victory, sending themselves to phase number 3.
That was closer, especially the first 2 games.
Oh,
I really
wow.
enjoyed that. And game 3, like Astro, they had it. If they once again, this team is good. This team is good. They just I don't know if they're going to continue being a team in the Challengers Cup now that they're basically out of this relegation process. But if they're so close. They're so close. If they just thought about it a little bit more, were prepared and figured out kind of the roles that they need to take in their team compositions, they could be really scary.
I absolutely love this team. I want to see more. In fact, show it to me right now. First Blood coming out on the side of Team Astro. They trailed in game number 1 and 2, but in game 3, much different story. Rapio and the jungler combine here, and this was pretty much Leftovers. This was a fun back and forth as they take out Badgah.
I mean, Astro find the first 11 or 12 kills, I believe it was, of the match, and that was just, that was their game plan, right? I kind of wanted them to be a little bit more aggressive, increase their lead, but it was fine because, honestly, Cherryo elected to delay his boots. He wanted to force his doom warp, even though he got picked off early, and so they were able to repeatedly pick him off with that burst damage of Isis, Khumbakarna, and honestly, the Fear No Evil just continued lockdown.
And we saw the intelligence of this team really shine through here. In game number 1 and 2, we saw little bits of burst coming out of it. Leftovers were able to take it, but again, talking about that duo lane, that first blood specifically, we saw the duo lane. Leftovers didn't have any pressure. It was all about Astro, and then Astro make a mistake. Who knows which way it was, right? But either way, they relinquish control over the lane of Leftovers, and then like hands on a clock, right from the mid lane comes jungler in the mid, and they were able to just smack down that duo lane. So great play over there.
Let's take a look at that turnaround by Nika. He had such a phenomenal game, right? This is the 2v4 where, Nika and Arkkyl were fighting into it and basically just sustaining. And I believe they both get picked off. I think maybe Nika lives. I know Arkkyl dives, but they just put out so much poke and allow their team to respawn. We saw 2 members who had died at the start of the fight, 4 Leftovers, come back into this fight and find all 4 members. And honestly, Rapio just kind of walks into Chronos.
I got a question for you. How much do you think Nika affected game number 3?
He was the entire reason that they came back.
Which is kind of hilarious because I think this, out of the 3 games that we saw, was the game that Nika had the least amount of impact in.
Really?
I think that the other 2, Nika, this series was the Nika show.
Badge
is buying Nika a drink this weekend.
I just think a lot of it comes down to the Sun Wukong pick is just not impactful. Right now, Sun Wukong is just, he's not providing the same backline dive and like that kind of aura of I'm a frontliner that you have to deal with, that tier, that, Bologna, that Robin, that Amaterasu are, and he's just kind of the bottom of the barrel for those frontline warriors.
Yeah, he's just doing a whole lot of nothing. Maybe with a pure tank build and some Chinsai, right? I think that Sun Wukong is a character that could work, but needs a little bit of a different approach than just the same old, right? Because we're just not seeing it work out. But with that one in the book, we'll take a look at how the big picture looks, at least for relegations is concerned. Europe has now concluded its second phase. We saw Torpedo Gaming take out Team Loyal 3-0. Team Loyal, previously known as Epiphany Bolt. And Leftovers take out Team Astro in a much closer set, but still 3-0. So both teams, Torpedo will be heading on to the next phase. Tomorrow, of course, will be North America. Still in phase number 2, Neil M will take on Team Flex, the team that came out of the open bracket, and that's the one with Incon, etc. And Risky Behavior will take on their open bracket team, Problem Solved. That one is Jigs and newest member Baskin et al. So a lot of good North American competition on the docket for tomorrow. If I made you pick one, Kevin, which one are you looking forward to more?
I think Team Flex versus Neil M will be closer.
Okay.
Problem Solved looking very strong right now.
Problem Solved look really strong. Team Flex look good, but I think Neil M is a team that a lot of people, if you haven't been watching the Challenger Cup or you didn't get a chance to watch the Fall Challenger Cup, you're in for a treat. Neil M is a very fun team to watch.
They've got a lot of notable players, too, so we'll have to see if they can take them on. And just to note, too, the winners from today will be facing off against the bottom 2 SPL teams from the Fall Split next weekend, and how that's going to work is exactly how it worked with the Challenger Cups, where 7th seed gets the first pick. So I believe it was Myrmidons are going to get to pick which team that won today that they want to face off against. And I think those will be announced or figured out in the next day or two. And then the second team obviously gets the other squad.
Exactly. For all the up-to-date information on the way this relegations go, and next week you want to follow us at Smite Pro on Twitter, and esports.smitegame.com, of course, will be your spot for all of the information, including some in-depth long form from this guy, Adanas, breaking out his writing skills. So thanks again for joining us, for Peckies and everybody else here, and thank you specifically to Allied for joining us on the cast. We'll see him tomorrow as well in the North American broadcast, 1 p.m., twitch.tv/SmiteGame. We'll see you then.